Welcome, curious minds, to another deep dive. Today, we're plunging headfirst into a world where every shadow hides a scream and every single decision determines survival. Imagine, if you will, a relentless game of hide and seek, but instead of, playful banter, there's this chilling dread.
Right.
And the most terrifying nightmares you can conjure don't just exist. They are actively, relentlessly hunting you down. That's the chilling invitation from a game called Dead by Daylight.
Yeah, and it's absolutely captivating. It's drawn millions into its fog-shrouded arenas.
It really has.
Indeed. Dead by Daylight isn't merely another entry in the horror game genre. It's an indie horror, multiplayer action, and survival game developed and published by Behavior Interactive.
Okay.
And since its initial release back in 2016, it has truly blossomed. It's become an evolving phenomenon within the gaming landscape.
A phenomenon is a good word for it.
Yeah, its unique blend of competitive and cooperative elements has really carved out a niche that, frankly, few others can claim.
So our mission today is to explore exactly what makes Dead by Daylight so incredibly compelling and, how it manages to stay relevant, even thrive almost a decade into its life cycle. We're going to unpack everything from its core gameplay loop, which is surprisingly deep, deceptively simple on the surface, to its groundbreaking, industry-defining collaborations with horror's biggest, most iconic names.
Yeah, those collaborations are huge.
Definitely. And of course, we'll peek into the exciting future hinted at by recent news and, those ever-present leaks that keep its passionate community buzzing with anticipation.
Always buzzing.
Always.
Yeah.
Think of this deep dive as your shortcut, to truly understanding why this game has not only captivated over 60 million players,
60 million.
but what keeps its dedicated community, profoundly devoted, always coming back for just one more terrifying trial.
It's a truly remarkable achievement for any game, really, especially one operating within the, let's face it, often niche horror genre to reach such a monumental player milestone.
Absolutely.
The fact that it's celebrating 60 million players and consistently receives high praise from critics. I mean, boasting scores like IGN's 910, PC Gamer's 8800, GameSpot's 910. That really underscores its profound impact.
Yeah, it shows the success of its innovative formula.
Exactly. It's a testament to its enduring appeal and how deeply it resonates with a diverse global audience.
Absolutely. Those numbers aren't just statistics. They're a massive vote of confidence from players and critics alike. So let's not waste another terrifying second. Let's dive into what makes this game tick, starting with its very foundation. We're jumping into Section 1, the core experience, a deadly game of cat and mouse.
Okay.
So to kick us off, what's the fundamental setup here? And how does that core design choice make Dead by Daylight unique right from the start? What sets it apart from other multiplayer experiences?
Well, what's truly fascinating here is the core asymmetry. That's the key word, asymmetry. And how that foundational choice dictates completely different play styles and psychological experiences for every participant. It really creates that visceral cat and mouse dynamic that defines the game.
Mouse, yeah.
At its heart, Dead by Daylight pits one crazed, seemingly unstoppable killer against 4 vulnerable yet surprisingly resilient survivors.
1 versus 4.
Exactly. And this isn't just about different teams. It's about fundamentally distinct objectives, mechanics, and crucially, perspectives, which immediately immerses players in this unique psychological thriller.
And it's not just the numbers that are different, right? You mentioned perspective. The game strategically uses that to completely change how you play and how you feel in each role. It's almost like 2 separate games in one.
Precisely. When you choose to play as the killer, you're locked into an intense first-person perspective.
Okay, first person for the killer.
Yeah. And this isn't an arbitrary choice. It's meticulously crafted to enhance your focus on your prey. It makes you feel like a truly relentless, singular force of terror.
So tunnel vision, almost.
Kind of. Your entire field of vision narrows, focusing your attention on tracking, say, blood trails, spotting movement in the distance, listening for those telltale groans of injured survivors.
The sounds are important too.
Hugely important. This perspective amplifies the feeling of being a hunter, a predator. Your objective as the killer is straightforward yet terrifying. Stalk, injure, hook, and ultimately sacrifice your victims to a malevolent, unseen entity known as the entity.
The entity, right. That's the overarching thing.
Yeah, the thing that pulls all these characters into its fog-shrouded realm. You truly embody the nightmare. Every swing of your weapon feels immediate and impactful.
But then if you flip the script and play as a survivor,
Mm.
it's a completely different ballgame, isn't it? Almost sensory overload by
It's
comparison.
totally
You're
different.
suddenly in a third-person view, which I imagine is absolutely crucial for survival.
Exactly. As a survivor, the third-person perspective grants you much broader awareness of your surroundings.
You can see more.
You can see around corners, gauge distances, and most importantly, keep a constant eye on your teammates' movements and the killer's terrifying approach.
Okay, so awareness is key for survivors.
Vital. This wider field of vision is absolutely vital for coordination, for making quick decisions when to run, when to hide, when to commit to a rescue. Your primary objective is to repair 5 generators scattered across the map.
Repair generators, right, to power the exit gates.
Exactly. Power the gates, outwit the killer, and escape the horrific trial, often by working together with your fellow survivors.
Teamwork makes the dream work, or the escape work.
Pretty much. This fundamental split in roles and perspectives is what makes every match a unique and high-stakes interaction. The psychology of both hunter and hunted is constantly at play.
You feel that vulnerability as a survivor.
Oh, acutely. You're aware of the killer's presence even when you can't see them. That dread is almost palpable. It's a brilliant design that ensures 2 distinct yet equally thrilling gameplay loops.
It's brilliant because it forces you into 2 completely different mindsets within the same game. You're either the apex predator, methodical and terrifying, or the vulnerable prey, relying on wits, stealth, and teamwork. And the mechanics directly reinforce that. Now let's talk about what keeps those experiences fresh, trial after trial. Because that's crucial, right?
Absolutely.
Here's where it gets really interesting. The environment itself, it's almost a character in this game.
Yeah.
Always changing, always keeping you on your toes, always forcing you into impossible situations.
That truly begs the question, doesn't it? How does this layered unpredictability, combined with unique powers and skills, ensure sustained engagement? How does it keep players thinking critically, preventing the game from getting stale after, hundreds of hours?
Yeah, how do they do it?
The answer lies in procedural generation. The maps are procedurally generated, and the spawn points for both killers and survivors are randomized.
So every time you play, the map's different,
Yeah.
or parts of it.
Key parts. When you load into a trial, you literally never know what to expect. Key objectives like generators, totems, pallets for stunning the killer, even the placement of hiding spots like lockers or tall grass, it's all randomized.
Wow. So no 2 trials are ever exactly the same.
Precisely. Which means rote memorization is impossible. You can't just learn the perfect path.
And that never knowing what to expect must be absolutely key. It means you can't just rely on fixed strategies. You're constantly adapting, reevaluating.
Constantly.
I mean, you can almost feel the sheer panic just thinking about it.
Yeah.
I remember spawning directly in the killer's line of sight once. Utterly terrifying.
Yeah, that happens.
But that immediate threat also forced me to think 5 steps ahead. It's that raw fight or flight response. You don't always get that.
Exactly. This randomization is critical because it forces players to make, desperate choices under stressful circumstances. Imagine spawning as a survivor right next to a killer like the nurse, who can blink through walls. You're forced into an immediate, high-stakes sprint for cover, while also standing for a generator and assessing escape routes.
Okay, yeah, that's intense.
Or as the killer, maybe you find all the generators grouped closely on one side of the map. That demands a rapid shift in your patrol strategy. You have to switch from widespread hunting to concentrated pressure on those objectives.
Instead of just wandering around.
Right. These aren't just minor variations, they fundamentally alter your immediate tactical choices. They force real-time strategic adaptation. This constant unpredictability ensures players are always engaged, always thinking on their feet.
Always looking for those aha moments.
Exactly. Where a clever play or a risky decision pays off, like a perfectly timed pallet drop or a daring unhook right under the killer's nose.
So it's not just about reflexes, but adaptability, improvisation, critical thinking under immense pressure.
Precisely. And the killers really embody that unpredictability too, don't they? With their distinct, often terrifying powers.
Oh yeah, the killer powers are a huge part of it.
They absolutely are. Killers in Dead by Daylight are drawn from all horror genres. You've got brutal, masked slashers, terrifying paranormal entities, and each possesses a unique power that requires deep understanding and mastery.
Give us some examples.
Okay, take the core cast. You could be revving a chainsaw as the hillbilly, right? Or strategically setting devious bear traps as the trapper. or even becoming invisible and phasing through walls as the Wraith.
Classic starting killers.
Yeah. But then you have characters like the Nurse who can teleport short distances, ignoring obstacles, or the Blight who rushes maniacally through the environment, bouncing off things.
So very different movement styles, different ways to hunt.
Incredibly varied. Some powers are physical, others supernatural. They require unique timing, spatial awareness, maybe resource management, but all demand deep understanding and tactical execution to effectively track, hunt down, and sacrifice survivors.
It's not just about catching them then.
No, it's about leveraging your specific killer's unique toolkit, exploiting the environment, creating pressure, outmaneuvering the survivors. It leads to incredibly tense and satisfying chases.
And on the survivor side, you're not just helpless victims running for your lives, are you? You have roles too, even if they're not explicitly assigned.
That's right. While survivors all share the common goal of escaping, the unpredictable nature of each trial often compels them to adopt varied roles dynamically.
Like what kind of roles?
Well, you might find yourself being the courageous leader, guiding your teammates through dangerous territory, pointing out objectives, signaling the killer's position.
Okay, the coordinator.
Or perhaps you'll be the selfless hero, risking your own safety to unhook a fallen comrade right under the killer's nose, buying precious seconds for others.
If they're altruist.
Yeah. You could be the master escape artist, running the killer for what feels like an eternity, looping them around obstacles, buying your team precious time to complete generators.
It's a distraction. Very important.
Hugely important. Or, as the game's official description puts it, you could just be the reason you all make it out alive through clever plays, selfless actions, or simply by being the bait that keeps the killer busy.
So it's this combination. Unique killer powers, shifting survivor roles, the ever-changing maps. It means every trial is basically a new scenario.
Exactly. The combined behavior of each player creates a truly terrifying and thrilling narrative each time. It's this dynamic interaction where no two games ever unfold the same way that keeps players coming back for more, trial after trial, eager to test their wits against the unknown.
That sounds like a game where you're constantly learning, constantly evolving your playstyle. Every match feels like a new story. So, okay, what does this all mean for long-term play? What keeps players coming back for more, beyond just the scares and the variety of the chase?
Right, because the novelty can wear off eventually, even with randomization.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, the strategic depth offered by unlockables, combined with that tantalizing implied lore about the fog, those are incredibly powerful motivators for continued exploration and mastery.
Unlockables and lore. Okay.
It turns a series of short matches into, for many players, a lifelong pursuit. Dead by Daylight boasts an incredibly rewarding progression system that's foundational to its long-term appeal.
How did that work?
In every single trial, whether you escape or get sacrificed, you're constantly completing objectives, earning experience, leveling up your characters, and crucially, this earns you blood points.
Blood points. Sounds ominous. Is that the main currency?
Exactly. The currency of choice in the entity's realm, you could say. A gruesome measure of dedication, maybe? These blood points are incredibly valuable because they allow you to delve into something called the Blood Web.
The Blood Web.
Yeah, it's basically a branching skill tree for each character, and in the Blood Web, you can unlock powerful new items, offerings, perks, and add-ons.
Okay, so it's not just cosmetic stuff. This affects gameplay.
Oh, absolutely. This isn't superficial customization. It's deep, meaningful, strategic development for your character. You can tailor your killer's loadout to amplify their unique power, giving them advantages in specific situations.
Like what?
For example, equipping an add-on that significantly increases a chainsaw's turning speed for the hillbilly, or an offering that maybe starts generators already repaired a small percentage. Little edges.
Gotcha. And for survivors?
Similarly, you can equip your survivor with perks that enhance their stealth or their healing capabilities or utility skills. You can truly adapt them to your preferred playstyle.
So you can build different builds, basically.
Precisely. To really grasp the strategic depth, consider a survivor equipping the Dead Hard perk. It gives a momentary burst of invincibility during a chase, letting them dodge a killer's hit.
Oh, wow. That sounds powerful.
It can be, or maybe they use adrenaline, which instantly heals them and grants a speed boost once all generators are completed, like a last-ditch escape tool.
And killers have counter perks.
Oh, yes. A killer like the Blight might use an add-on called Alchemist's Ring to recharge his rush tokens faster after hitting a survivor, allowing for continuous, aggressive chases. These combinations don't just tweak stats. They enable entirely different play styles and counterplay scenarios. Players spend hundreds of hours mastering these.
So there's a meta, like optimal strategy.
Definitely. The customization options are extensive, allowing players to build highly specialized or versatile characters. And they're constantly adapting to the ever-shifting meta, that evolving set of optimal strategies and builds that players discover and refine as new content drops.
So it's not just about getting better at the chase mechanics, but also about building a character that suits how you play, or even countering specific strategies.
Exactly. And there's a competitive element too, beyond just surviving or getting kills. Something for those who crave ongoing challenge.
Like ranked play.
There absolutely is. Players can climb up the competitive ladder, which adds another layer of long-term engagement.
How did that change things?
Well, it isn't just about bragging rights. Climbing those ranks, from Ash up to Iridescent, fundamentally shifts the matchmaking and the intensity of trials.
So you face tougher opponents.
Consistently. Higher ranks mean facing more coordinated survivors who understand intricate loop paths and advanced evasion tactics, or brutally efficient killers who've mastered microspacing and power timings.
It sounds stressful.
It pushes players to continually refine their strategies, understand the shifting meta, and adapt their builds to an unforgiving level of play. It's a constant, demanding test of skill and adaptation.
Okay, so progression, customization, competition.
Yeah.
What about the lore you mentioned, the fog?
Right. Beyond the mechanics and competition, there's the tantalizing lure of the game's deep, unsettling lore. The game constantly hints at a deeper narrative, inviting players to discover the truth beyond the fog.
What is the truth beyond the fog?
Well, that's the mystery. It isn't just flavor text, it's the enigmatic, malevolent backdrop to every trial. It weaves a deeper, unsettling narrative into the core gameplay.
How do you find this lore?
Players can uncover fragments through character bios, item descriptions, and even specific challenges within the game's tomes, which are like episodic lore archives. For instance, each killer and survivor has their own backstory revealing how they were drawn into the entity's twisted realm.
And the entity is?
A cosmic being, it seems, that feeds on hope, despair, and the raw emotions of the chase. It manipulates its victims and tormentors alike. This slow, often cryptic unveiling of a larger, terrifying universe encourages players to invest not just in the mechanics, but in understanding the very fabric of the world they're battling within.
Adds a sense of purpose, maybe, beyond just winning the match.
Exactly. A profound sense of purpose and mystery to every escape or sacrifice. This blend, mechanical progression, strategic customization, a demanding competitive climb, and a compelling, mysterious narrative provides incredibly strong incentives for players to invest hundreds, if not thousands of hours.
Yeah, it creates a sense of ongoing discovery, both mechanically and narratively. That's a powerful driver.
Absolutely.
You can really feel that pull towards understanding the deeper mysteries. It's a game that respects your time by giving you constant rewards and new things to chase. Okay, so we've explored how the deep progression keeps players invested. But beyond mastering the chase and uncovering lore, there's an even larger, almost unbelievable draw. Its unparalleled ability to weave itself into the fabric of horror history through iconic collaborations. Expert, how has Behavior Interactive managed to turn what could be just another horror game into the ultimate horror universe, where nightmares from across cinema and gaming collide? This leads us into Section 2, the Hall of Horror's iconic collaborations.
Well, what's truly fascinating here is how Behavior Interactive hasn't just, embraced this concept of licensed characters. They've elevated it. They've made it a central, defining pillar of the game's identity and ongoing relevance.
It's like their main selling point now, almost.
Pretty much. Dead by Daylight has fundamentally distinguished itself as the only game where horror's greatest franchises collide. And that's not just marketing fluff. It's a unique selling proposition that has fundamentally shaped its appeal and staggering success. Few other games have managed this with such consistency and breadth.
That's a bold claim, the only game. But it really feels true when you look at their roster. How does that concept act as such a powerful draw, bringing in not just fans of DBD itself, but whole communities from outside?
It's incredibly powerful because it appeals to fans across the entire horror genre in a way no other game truly has. Imagine being a devoted fan of, say, Halloween. Or A Nightmare on Elm Street, Resident Evil, Silent Hill.
All the big ones.
Dead by Daylight offers this unprecedented, almost dreamlike opportunity to step into the blood-soaked shoes of those iconic killers, or to play alongside beloved survivors, all within a cohesive, terrifying game world.
It's like a massive crossover event that never ends.
Exactly. It creates a unique crossover appeal that is unparalleled in gaming, transforming the game into a living, breathing horror anthology. It's not just about experiencing generic horror, it's about interacting with the very legends that define the genre for decades.
And they seem to treat the source material with respect.
Deep respect. The meticulous integration means that fans of these individual franchises are drawn into the Dead by Daylight ecosystem, eager to see their favorite characters brought to terrifying life in this new context. It's fan service elevated to a core gameplay mechanic.
Which constantly refreshes the experience for everyone. Veterans, new players.
Right, even people joining just to play as their favorite horror icon.
And it truly is an extensive roster. It's not just a couple of characters here and there. It's genuinely become the definitive place for horror crossovers. Let's dive into some of these legends because the list is, frankly, incredible.
It really is.
So the killers.
Yeah.
We've got The Shape. Michael Myers. From Halloween, of course. Absolute classic.
Can't get more iconic. And then there's the cannibal, Leatherface, from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, bringing his terrifying chainsaw to the fog.
The Nightmare. Freddy Krueger from A Nightmare on Elm Street, turning dreams into horrific reality.
The Pig, from the Saw franchise, master of deadly traps and sadistic games, Jigsaw's apprentice.
The Demogorgon from Stranger Things. That was a bit of a surprise, wasn't it? But showed they were willing to branch out.
Yeah, definitely broaden the scope. Then the Executioner, Pyramid Head from Silent Hill. Truly unsettling, iconic design.
Oh yeah, the Nemesis from Resident Evil, bringing those biological monstrosities and zombies into the trials.
Yeah. The Cenobite, Pinhead from Hellraiser, offering painful delights.
Yeah. The Onrise, Sadako Yamamura from The Ring, spreading despair through video. Still creepy.
Still very creepy. The Mastermind, Albert Wesker, another Resident Evil legend, superhuman speed, pure villainy.
The Xenomorph from Alien. I mean, a creature just perfectly suited for the asymmetrical hunt.
Absolute perfect fit. The good guy, Chucky, proving that even pint-sized terror can be utterly deadly.
And the most recent one we mentioned, the animatronic Springtrap from Five Nights at Freddy's.
Yeah.
That's just an absolutely stacked deck of horror icons, decades of frights.
It is. And the survivors are equally impressive and diverse, hailing from a wide array of beloved properties. You have Laurie Strode from Halloween, the quintessential final girl.
Right. Bill Overbeck from Left 4 Dead, gritty veteran, refuses to give up. Feels right at home, probably.
Probably does. Ash Williams from Evil Dead, bringing his boomstick and that quirky charm to the chaos. Groovy.
Nancy Wheeler and Steve Harrington, also from Stranger Things, continuing their fight against otherworldly threats.
Cheryl Mason from Silent Hill, navigating psychological torment and real-world horrors.
Jill Valentine and Leon Scott Kennedy from Resident Evil. True survival experts. Huge fan favorite.
Massive. Yuichi Asakawa from The Ring, seeking to break free from his cursed lineage.
Ada Wong and Rebecca Chambers, more Resident Evil legends, each bringing unique skills. They really love Resident Evil.
They certainly do. And then the one and only Nicolas Cage, playing himself. His inclusion was such a delightful surprise. Added a layer of meta-humor, really showed DBD's creative freedom.
It was brilliant. Ellen Ripley from Alien, another iconic sci-fi survivor facing a new nightmare.
Alan Wake. The troubled writer pulled into yet another nightmarish reality. Seems fitting.
Very fitting. Lara Croft. Tomb Raider herself, ready to explore even the entity's realm. Another big surprise.
Big one. And Trevor Belmont from Castlevania, a classic monster hunter, now facing completely new horrors.
Seriously, that list is just incredible. It's not just a collection of famous faces, is it? Each one often brings their own unique flair, their own mechanics, their own lore into the game.
That's the key point.
It truly feels like a living, breathing museum of horror.
Absolutely. This extensive roster isn't just fan service or visual appeal. It introduces varied powers, perks, and visual aesthetics that constantly refresh the gameplay experience. Well, when a new licensed character is introduced, it often means new mechanics, new strategic possibilities, a significant shift in the meta.
Right, the optimal strategies change.
Exactly. For instance, a killer like the Nemesis from Resident Evil introduces AI-controlled zombies into the trial. That completely alters the environmental dynamics. Survivors suddenly have to manage these unpredictable secondary threats, not just the killer.
Adds another layer of chaos.
Totally. Or a survivor like Nicolas Cage. His unique perks are playful nods to his acting career, but they also add genuine strategic depth. like Scene Partner, which gives him info when he screams near the killer.
Oh, that's amazing.
It is. This continuous infusion of fresh content, directly tied to beloved franchises, ensures the game remains dynamic, prevents stagnation. It encourages players to experiment with new playstyles, and keeps the community excited about what new horrors or heroes might be joining next.
It's a masterclass in leveraging existing IP to create ongoing, compelling content, like they're building the ultimate horror hall of fame one chapter at a time, and they never seem to run out of ideas.
Doesn't seem like it.
And speaking of chapters, what's hot off the presses? What's still lurking in the shadows for fans to anticipate? This is where the game's immediate future becomes clear.
And that really begs the question, how do these continuous multi-chapter collaborations not only excite the existing fan base, but also draw in new players from those specific horror communities, creating that feedback loop of growth?
Good question. What's the latest big release?
The latest release at the time of this deep dive is the Five Nights at Freddy's chapter. It introduced Springtrap, officially known as the animatronic, as the new killer.
FNAF. That was huge, wasn't it? Highly anticipated.
Massive, especially given FNF's enormous fan base. This chapter also came with exclusive in-game items like a Stack of Pizzas badge and a Vent Crawl banner. Fantastic, specific nods to the FNF universe.
Little details that fans appreciate.
Exactly. Immediately recognizable, adds to the immersion.
So it's not just the character, but the whole thematic package. And this FNAF collaboration, it seems like it might be bigger than just one chapter.
It is. The recent news, directly from developer communications, confirms that Five Nights at Freddy's is far from over in Dead by Daylight.
Okay, interesting.
This is a crucial detail because it demonstrates an ongoing strategic commitment to popular collaborations. Behavior views these partnerships as long-term investments, not just one-off events.
So more FNAF content is coming.
There are already strong hints, including a highly anticipated Foxy skin, which is expected to be a legendary cosmetic for a survivor. That would be a huge win for fans wanting to play as different animatronic.
Legendary skin, right? Those change the whole character model usually.
Usually, yes. Beyond that, there's even the exciting promise of a second chapter coming for FNF.
A whole second chapter.
It isn't just a rumor. It's just a multi-phase integration. Allows them to explore more characters, more lore, more gameplay elements from the FNF universe.
That multi-chapter approach. It must keep the hype alive for longer.
Absolutely. It not only excites the existing player base, always hungry for new content, but also acts as a powerful magnet for fans of the newly integrated franchise, draws them into DBD, potentially converts them into long-term players.
It's smart cross-promotion and continuous content delivery. Keeps the buzz going.
Exactly. Sustained hype and engagement.
That's a clever strategy. Makes fans feel like they're part of an ongoing story, not just getting a single content drop. It's clear these collaborations are the lifeblood of DBD's success. Okay, let's shift gears now. Peek behind the curtain into the game's even further future, where imagination really takes hold. This brings us to Section 3, the future and fandom leaks, rumors, and community buzz. First off, the developers aren't just thinking inside the horror box anymore, are they? This opens up a whole new world of possibilities.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, this willingness to explore vastly different intellectual properties speaks volumes about the core adaptability of Dead by Daylight's asymmetrical gameplay loop. It's surprisingly flexible.
How so? What are they talking about?
Recent statements from the developers openly discuss potential collaborations that stretch far beyond traditional horror, hinting at a truly boundless future. They've explicitly talked about IPs as diverse as Minecraft.
Minecraft,
Seriously, also Dying Light, and even the highly acclaimed Elden Ring, among others.
Minecraft and Elden Ring. That's quite the leap from slasher films and haunted houses. What does that tell us about their vision for the game? And maybe for cross-genre gaming generally?
It fundamentally demonstrates a strategic intent to continuously expand the game's universe, potentially drawing in even broader, more diverse player bases well beyond the traditional horror demographic.
Interesting.
Consider Dying Light, for instance. Its franchise director has already publicly expressed a strong desire for a crossover with DBD, said it would be a dream collaboration, and even has a specific killer in mind.
So other studios are actively interested?
It seems so. That's not just a fan remark. It's a direct signal from another major studio. And it's not just horror or similar action genres. We've also seen that recent tease for a Guilty Gear Strive collaboration.
A fighting game?
A popular fighting game, yeah. Hinted at during their anniversary stream. It powerfully shows Behavior's adventurous spirit, their willingness to cross genres, pushing the boundaries of what a horror game can even encompass.
So the core loop, 1 versus 4, is adaptable enough.
It seems so. Robust enough to incorporate almost any kind of character or universe, from the pixelated world of Minecraft to the dark fantasy of Elden Ring. It's incredibly exciting for the game's future and potentially for the industry, a blueprint for broad cross-IP integration.
That's a potential game changer. The possibilities for Dead by Daylight are practically endless then, and the audience keeps growing. Speaking of what's coming, the community lives for the whispers and leaks, don't they?
Oh, absolutely.
So what does this all mean for the superfans, the ones constantly digging through every hint, analyzing every shadow and soundbite?
Well, what's truly fascinating here is this symbiotic relationship between the developers' carefully placed teasers, their public statements, and the community's relentless detective work.
They feed off each other.
Exactly. It creates this vibrant, self-sustaining secondary layer of engagement that just amplifies the game's buzz. The DVD community is incredibly active, keeps a famously close eye on any hints or unconfirmed leaks.
What's the big rumor right now?
One of the most talked about pieces of speculation getting the community absolutely buzzing is the possibility that Damien Leone, the director of the Terrifier films, might have leaked Terrifier's arrival in Dead by Daylight this November.
Art the Clown in Dead by Daylight. That would be huge.
Yeah.
He's such a modern horror icon. Fits perfectly with their strategy.
He really does. The sheer dread he instills, perfect for the game.
Totally.
It's exactly the kind of highly anticipated integration that fuels fervent fan speculation, generates immense buzz. It's like a pre-release marketing campaign powered by the community itself.
And looking even further ahead, any long-term rumors?
There's an intriguing rumor emphasis on rumors circulating that a protagonist from Resident Evil Requiem could join Dead by Daylight in 2026 for a 30th anniversary collaboration with the Resident Evil franchise.
2026, they plan that far ahead.
This suggests long-term planning for major high-profile crossovers, aligning with significant anniversaries. These leaks and rumors, confirmed or not, create this constant sense of anticipation.
Keeps people talking.
Fuels endless discussions on forums, social media, fan sites. Turns the community into collective detectives piecing together the next big reveal. This constant state of what's next is a powerful engine for engagement. Keeps the game fresh, even between official content drops.
So for you, the listener who's insanely curious, this dive into leaks shows how the community itself extends the game's narrative, contributes to its vibrancy. It's like the game itself is a living entity, constantly throwing out new hooks, keeping players invested both in-game and out. And it's not just about in-game content anymore, is it? The world of DBD is growing, expanding its tentacles into new media.
That really raises an important question. How does this kind of broader media expansion, coupled with direct vocal community feedback, influence the game's development and long-term trajectory?
Yeah, how does it?
We're seeing the Dead by Daylight universe expand robustly beyond the game. There's significant news of an upcoming Dead by Daylight movie.
A movie, okay.
And it's slated to be a faithful adaptation for fans of the video game. That's a significant step. Moves the franchise into mainstream media, potentially introduces it to an even wider audience who might not be gamers.
Faithful adaptation is key there, isn't it?
Yeah.
Suggests they understand what fans love.
It does. Promises to deliver the same scares, characters, narrative depth on the big screen, rather than just being a shallow cash grab adaptation.
So honoring the source material, the game itself.
Yeah.
Translating its unique terror. And speaking of the fans, they're not afraid to voice their opinions, right? They're an active part of this whole ecosystem.
Not at all. They're incredibly active and vocal, a testament to their passion and deep investment. For example, there's been recent, quite prominent criticism from fans about declining lighting quality over the years.
Technical feedback.
Exactly. This kind of feedback, though sometimes critical, is invaluable. It shows active player engagement and scrutiny. The community cares deeply about the game's quality, its visual fidelity, its ongoing evolution.
The developers listen.
Often, yes. They take this feedback incredibly seriously as it directly impacts player retention and satisfaction. This dynamic exchange, leaks generating excitement, direct feedback on quality profoundly shapes the game's ongoing development.
So it stays responsive, evolving.
Exactly. Not a static thing just pushing out content. The upcoming movie, combined with this active community dialogue, clearly shows a franchise that's expanding its reach, but is also deeply connected to its roots and its players, constantly seeking to refine and expand its core identity.
It really highlights that this isn't just a product being sold, it's a living project. Co-created, in a way, with its community. constantly adapting. That brings us to our final section where we contextualize Dead by Daylight. Section 4, Dead by Daylight's place in the wider horror gaming landscape. Let's unpack this. How does DBD fit into the larger horror gaming ecosystem right now, especially with all these other big names making moves?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, Dead by Daylight isn't just riding a wave, it's actively helping to define and expand the very landscape of multiplayer horror experiences, especially with its pioneering emphasis on integrating famous IPs.
You set a trend.
You could say that. To truly understand its position, it's helpful to look at parallel developments in other prominent horror franchises. They often compete with or are influenced by DBD's success.
Like what?
For instance, the Crystal Lake series, that's the Friday the 13th Jason Voorhees prequel series for TV, has officially started filming.
Okay, so demand for classic horror is still strong.
Demonstrates continued, strong demand for established horror narratives and iconic characters, many of whom are either in or have been considered for Dead by Daylight. Shows the broader cultural relevance of these figures.
So the broader horror media landscape is thriving, and DBD is part of that, maybe even a catalyst. And it looks like other developers are taking cues from the asymmetrical horror model it popularized, maybe competing directly.
Exactly. We also have news that Gun Interactive, known for Friday the 13th, the game, which was itself an asymmetrical horror title, a direct competitor for a while.
Right, I remember that one.
Well, their next horror game could be Halloween, featuring Kane Hodder as Michael Myers.
Another Michael Myers game. Interesting given DBD's chapter.
Significant overlap, right? It clearly shows the appetite for these iconic characters and interactive horror settings is incredibly high. And Dead by Daylight was undeniably a pioneer in cultivating that specific market.
So DBD paved the way, maybe?
Helped pave it, certainly. Furthermore, there's a spiritual successor to Friday the 13th. The game is coming. Say hello to summer camp. This further solidifies the ongoing evolution of asymmetrical horror titles, proves the genre has sustained appeal beyond any single game.
So the genre itself is growing.
Seems so. And to top it off, Kane Hodder, the legendary actor who played Jason Voorhees many times, even teased a third game with Gun Interactive and IllFonic, suggesting ongoing ventures in this space. These developments underscore how DBD's success has truly opened the floodgates for similar experiences, validating the genre's appeal.
So it's a dynamic, competitive ecosystem. DBD isn't alone, but it seems to be consistently at the forefront, setting trends, defining what the genre can achieve, especially with that IP integration strategy.
But absolutely is. This section frames Dead by Daylight not in isolation, but as a leading, highly influential title within a vibrant, expanding horror gaming and media ecosystem. Its success and innovative approach have clearly inspired and pushed other developers.
They raise the bar.
You could argue that. While other titles are entering the fray, DBD's consistent delivery of high-quality licensed content and its well-established massive player base give it a significant competitive advantage. Cements its role as a trendsetter. It's helping define modern multiplayer horror, especially by leveraging beloved IPs to create a unique, enduring product. It transcends simple gameplay to become a cultural hub for horror fans.
That's a powerful statement about its influence and staying power. And if we look at the numbers, that influence is undeniable. So what does this all mean for its legacy? It's clearly more than just a passing trend. It feels like a definitive horror experience of our time.
And what's truly fascinating here is how Dead by Daylight has not only sustained but dramatically grown its player base and maintained critical acclaim over nearly a decade, cementing its status as a definitive horror experience that continues to push boundaries.
The numbers are just huge.
The numbers speak volumes. The game is celebrating 60 million players across all platforms, 60 million. That isn't just large, it represents a massive, dedicated global community that continues to engage year after year.
And the critics seem to agree wholeheartedly, too. IGN 910, PC Gamer 88-100, GameSpot 910. Those are seriously impressive scores, especially for a game that's been around this long.
Absolutely. These aren't launch scores. They represent consistent quality and appeal over time. These aren't just statistics. They represent a significant cultural footprint, a resounding testament to the game's compelling, continuously refined formula.
And its journey to success was strategic, right? Getting onto multiple platforms.
A deliberate multi-platform expansion strategy, yeah. Meticulously bringing the game to as many players as possible. It first launched on PC, Steam, June 14th, 2016.
Okay.
Then, recognizing the console market, it expanded to Xbox One and PS4 on June 20th, 2017.
Right.
Further broadening accessibility, it arrived on Nintendo Switch September 24, 2019. tapping into the handheld market.
Which is huge, too.
And finally, reaching an even broader, truly global audience, it launched on mobile iOS and Android April 16th, 2020.
Wow, so PC, console, Switch, mobile, everywhere.
Pretty much everywhere. This comprehensive multi-platform release strategy has been absolutely key to its broad reach and continued growth, allowing it to capture players wherever they prefer to game.
So it's not just a flash in the pan. It's strategically distributed, critically acclaimed, incredibly adaptable, a phenomenon that has continuously evolved and expanded over nearly a decade.
Precisely. This consistent growth and critical praise demonstrate that Dead by Daylight isn't just a niche horror title, it's a robust, evolving platform. It's managed to maintain relevance and appeal by constantly innovating its content and delivery.
And porting it successfully everywhere is a feat in itself.
A significant achievement, yeah. Retaining its core identity and quality across platforms, it proves that its unique blend of asymmetrical horror, unpredictable gameplay, and fan-favorite collaborations resonates deeply with a vast, diverse global audience. It's truly solidified its legacy as a cornerstone of the horror gaming genre.
Shows how consistent engagement and strategic partnerships can create lasting cultural impact. What an incredible journey for Dead by Daylight. We've truly dived deep into what makes this game such a phenomenon. From its unique asymmetrical gameplay that keeps you on the edge of your seat with every unpredictable trial, to its unparalleled success in bringing horror's greatest icons together in a way no other game has.
Yeah, the Hall of Horrors is impressive.
We've seen how its rewarding progression system and compelling lore keep players hooked for hundreds, even thousands of hours, and how the continuous stream of exciting collaborations and future teases, fueled by that buzzing, engaged community, ensures it's constantly evolving, never settling into stagnation.
This deep dive truly provides you, the listener, with a shortcut, a way to be well-informed about a cultural phenomenon that masterfully blends horror, action, strategic depth, and community engagement into this unique, enduring experience.
Yeah, we hope we've offered both a broad understanding and some intriguing specifics about its past, its vibrant present, and its incredibly exciting, seemingly boundless future.
Absolutely.
Indeed. And as we leave the eerie realms of the entity for today, let's ponder this. Dead by Daylight has proven its remarkable ability to seamlessly integrate any horror IP, no matter how obscure or mainstream. But more than that, it's shown a willingness to stretch beyond even traditional horror, bringing in characters from fighting games like Guilty Gear Strive, hinting at fantasy and pixelated worlds like Elden Ring and Minecraft.
The possibilities seem endless.
So what other truly unexpected characters or concepts, from obscure indie films, maybe mythological figures, or even completely novel ideas that defy genre, could Dead by Daylight introduce? What could completely redefine the game and push the boundaries of shared horror experiences?
That's a fascinating question.
And what could that willingness to blend and redefine mean for the very future of interactive storytelling, where beloved characters from any franchise could theoretically meet in new, unexpected narrative playgrounds? Something to think about until our next deep dive.